Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, it's me Gamerturk and this is my weekly War of Underworld Q&A where you ask the questions and I answer. Last 2 weeks I made the Q&A a live stream due to a severe lack of time. People who were able to join the stream were quite happy, but those who couldn't... well, those of you were not so happy about the fact that you saw a 2-hour video without timestamps for questions, etc. I totally get you. I knew that was gonna be an issue, but I simply had no choice. I hope those of you could sympathize with the horrible and unexpected nature of university schedules. I simply am doing my best, and sometimes my best is just not enough. Either way, this week we're back to the usual format, so we have normal questions, which means if you watched episode 7, you are safe. These questions won't feature any spoilers beyond episode 7. Then we got opinion section, where the questions are less factual oriented and more, well, asking for my opinion on things. These also won't feature things beyond episode 7, so if you don't want spoilers, you are still safe to watch this segment as well. And then, with a big spoiler warning, we'll have the start of the spoiler section, which are obviously questions regarding things beyond episode 7. This week we only have one spoiler question, but it's gonna be a lengthy one that will act as an additional input on something we have talked about 3 weeks ago in the normal section. So without further ado, let's start with the normal questions. First question. In the light novels it's stated that Ellis started chanting the very long and difficult command for the whole gathering of special resources to create the attack that is going to decimate the Dark Territory army, but the anime skipped the chanting phase, right? Yes, that is correct. In fact, let's be a little fair to the anime here, because light novels do mention that there is a long chant, but they also skip the long chant, but that's easier to do in light novels. You just change the perspective to something else. There's so many ways to distract the reader from the fact that not a single chant is actually being mentioned. Well, 99% of the chants are not mentioned in the novels. The anime does not have that benefit, and being a visual medium, it can't really drop the chant without making the audience notice that the chant has been dropped. So yeah, both medium actually drop the chants. Novels mention there is a very long chant, the anime doesn't, but that's not really the anime's fault, it's more of a medium problem. In the anime it looked like she was using incarnation. Well, in a sense, all sacred arts is kinda utilizing a very basic form of incarnation, but if I go more in depth on that, it's gonna just derail onto a whole different topic. But no, she was not using the full-blown incarnation that we know from the others. You know, she was just using regular sacred arts, it's just that the chant was dropped. In the novels, do all of the 31 Integrity Knights appear, or just who have divine objects? Well, let me correct you first, because even in the anime, we see Integrity Knights who don't have divine objects. For example, Fizel and Linel don't have divine objects, the Whirling Blades don't have divine objects. But no, in the novels we don't get to know all 31 Integrity Knights. There is 2 more Integrity Knights that we get to know in Moon Cradle, and there is 2 new Integrity Knights, like new numbers, let's put it that way, that you get to see in Moon Cradle, but no, you never see the 31 Integrity Knights, and having divine objects or not is not a factor there. Next question. So, do you think Ellis and Pretty Boy, which is Eldrie, are going to be a thing or no? That's gonna be a no, and that is not an answer because of spoilers, etc., but because what we already know of Eldrie. You see, I can go more in depth after tomorrow's episode 8, but the way Eldrie sees Ellis in general, there's nothing romantic. Like, every act of kindness in anime does not mean someone wants to fuck someone else. Let's get that out of the way real quick. The way Eldrie sees Ellis is more of an admiration, like a very motherly admiration, let's say. You're gonna see more of that in the next episode as well, since it's gonna be focused on Eldrie. But yeah, it's more that Eldrie really admires Ellis and wants her approval, wants to do what's best for her, etc. It's when you get into the middle of it, it's a really more of a family kind of love, very much motherly. That's why if you look at, what was it, episode 4 ending, if I'm not mistaken, the way Ellis gives her command to Eldrie, once again, he remembers his mother that he shouldn't even remember, but in the end, the memory that was removed from Eldrie was his mother's, so that all ties in together. You get what I mean, right? Yeah, I'm tangling myself between words. that's the answer. Yes. Next question, well, not really a question, but I thought I would include it here to advertise my Rising Steel stuff. This is talking about the Rising Steel Sortiliena's past chapter, like an entirely game original story that focuses on Sortiliena. It has 3 different anime cutscenes, like properly animated anime cutscenes, etc. So yeah, this comment is based on that. It was so nice how they changed and extended the scene where Kirito gave the flowers to Liena. Which version was true to the novels though? As I said, the entire chapter is game original, so that's not a canon scene that you should take as canon. That is completely created for Rising Steel. Such an event does not take place in the novels. But there's a chance that Reki may have wrote it anyways, because Rising Steel is constantly being advertised as written by Reki Kawahara. But no, it is not canon, it is game original scene. And considering Rising Steel is just an alternate universe story that is not canon obviously, the event itself is not canon either. Next question, is Kirito's black sword in Underworld also counted as a divine object? Is this comment counting as spoilers? No, it doesn't, that's why it's being answered in this normal section. I ask because I don't read the light novel, but this question always pops up to my head when I always try to sleep. Yes, Kirito's Night Sky Sword is a divine object. The confusing part about divine objects is not every single time an object is explicitly referred to as a divine object, but the key point about being a divine object is that it's an item that has been transformed from another, let's say, god tier object. I don't want to say god tier, but that's the most accurate term in terms of MMORPG stuff. If it's been transmorphed from one godly object into a weapon, then that becomes a divine object as well, because that weapon itself does now possess a memory of the sword or memory of the weapon in general that can unleash an enhanced armament or the memory release function. So that's the prerequisite for being a divine object, and whether something is referred to as a divine object or not is kinda irrelevant. If it has some memory abilities to a certain extent, then yes, that is also a divine object, divine weapon. Next question, what are your main thoughts about all the claims about Kirito's supposed plot armor? Do you agree with them? If so, why? Why is this in my normal section? Why did I not put this into the opinion section? Well, this question always comes up every once in a while. Every single fictional character does have plot armor. This is not a Kirito specific issue, it's fiction. Whatever happens to the main character is the fictional story of the author himself or herself. So yes, Kirito does have plot armor, let's not completely refute that. But he does not have the plot armor that many people claim that he has. If you look at the series, Kirito is always the loser. Kirito is the stupid guy who gets saved by the actual plot armor person. Go back to Aincrad, watch it again. Kirito pretty much loses the duel, but then Asuna somehow uses incarnation to break out of the paralysis so she can save Kirito. That's not Kirito's plot armor, that's literally Asuna doing magical things to save Kirito, to sacrifice herself to save Kirito. If you look at Fairy Dance, Kirito once again pretty much loses, but Kayaba is there, the actual godly person with the ultimate plot armor in the series, let me say that much, comes back and saves Kirito. Over on Fatal Bullet, why am I saying Fatal Bullet? Over on Phantom Bullet, it's Shinon who constantly helps Kirito. Kirito alone cannot defeat Death Gun. I mean, he can, but not in those circumstances. Then the Human Realm arc of Alicization, Yu-Gi-Oh, Cardinal, Charlotte, pretty much everybody sacrifices themselves for Kirito once again. And well, Kirito fries his brain with all the regret following that. I don't understand how people can claim this to be plot armor. Surviving is just surviving. If you survive with a huge scar, that's not plot armor, that's literally the plot destroying your mental state. Surviving is not a requirement to have plot armor. People need to understand that. Like, surviving in a nice unsurvivable case is always considered plot armor for some reason that I do not understand. It's very similar to having an act of kindness be the what people think as, oh my god, this person must love that person because they're being kind to him. No, that's not how it works. That's stupid. Like, some of these things I can't even refute because they're so stupid in the first place. You see what I mean? But yeah, I do not agree with them. That's a stupid opinion to have. If you ask me, Kirito surviving is actually much worse for the sake of Kirito himself. If he had died back in Aincrad, I'd say he would have a much nicer life. Let's put it that way. Next question. Does this series has its own manga that reveals what will happen next? Is it completed? Yeah, this question comes up every once in a while. It almost comes every single week by new people joining the channel. So welcome there, Starry Sabrina. First off, the source material for the series is light novels written by Reki Kawahara. If you see Sword Art Online manga around, which there are a lot different Sword Art Online mangas, they are just as much of an adaptation as the anime is. So if you see the manga, don't trust the manga because that's not the source material. Many of the manga pretty much adapt things as loosely as the anime does. For example, the currently Sword Art Online progressive manga is a very loose adaptation. It's almost a parody of the original progressive light novels. Project Alicization manga has some changes, but it's relatively accurate. So things like that. The source material is the light novels, and yes, the story of Alicization is completed in light novels in volume 18, Alicization Lasting, and then we got 2 more light novels featuring Moon Cradle and Alicization Side Story, and then we go over to Unitil Ring 1 with volume 21. Then volume 22, Kiss and Fly, is a side story collection that was previously published as limited edition Blu-ray bonuses in Japan, so that's gonna be nice to have once it's translated to officially English. And volume 23 will continue Unitil Ring in December. It's almost here. So yeah, it is completed. It has a continuation as well. There's your answer. Now, that takes us to the opinion questions. Which videos will you bring when Alicization ends? Well, Sword Art Online does not end with Alicization after all, so I actually do want to focus a lot on the never adapted and never will be adapted side stories of Sword Art Online, like Hopeful Chant, Cordial Chords, etc. Those kinds of stuff I really want to bring to my channel so people can learn more about them and maybe even go ahead and read them. But what else? We got tons of SAO games. We got Integral Factor, Rising Steel, we got Alicization Licorice coming probably after Alicization Anime ends, so I got a whole lot of SAO content to cover once Alicization Anime ends. Aside from Alicization, I'm still a Sonic channel, so we'll have Sonic content. I have certain interests in certain anime like Fate series. We're gonna have a Camelot movie after Babylonia, so that's probably gonna be covered on my channel. Not sure because it's a movie and we'll see how that goes. Aside from that, things like Kaguya, I'm not even sure I'm gonna cover Kaguya on my channel, but that's gonna be a fun watch. Those kinds of stuff. I will find stuff to do, no need to worry about that. Does Edith Synthesis 10 gonna make an appearance at all anywhere in the anime? 99% no, because Edith from Rising Steel, for those who don't know, is a game original character. She will appear in Alicization Licorice, the console game that's gonna come out next year, but nothing beyond that is confirmed, and 99% she's not gonna be featured in the anime either. They had a chance to cameo her to a certain extent in a way that wouldn't matter to the canonicity of the anime, but they didn't. They will have those kinds of minor chances again in the future as well, but I don't think they're ever gonna do that. Next question. I know in all your videos I made questions. No worries, man, I'm here to answer questions. Do you think they'll ever show or mention other things about Ordinal Scale facts in War of Underworld, like Kikoka invited Dr. Shigemura to Project Alicization, etc.? The thing is, Shigemura is obviously not on Ocean Turtle anymore, so we are probably not gonna see him, except for maybe an epilogue scene or something after the entire Alicization. That's still possible. There's a chance they can include some other characters, but we're gonna have to wait and see. It's all about how much they're gonna commit to that, which I believe they pretty much may, because especially in the first half, they really tried pushing that Ordinal Scale is canon to the series narrative with all the inclusions of Yuna, Ogma, etc. So it's very likely we'll see other characters from Ordinal Scale in Alicization. But that's all I'm gonna say, because that's gonna relate to some future stuff. But yes, I do believe some of them may get shown. Next question, can you make a video that includes all the divine objects and their abilities, enhance armaments and release recollections? That's already a plan. I'm fairly certain I'm gonna eventually do introduction videos, well, not introduction videos, but like information videos on every single divine object eventually for the SAO wiki anyways. But yeah, I may do like a compilation of all the divine weapons in a short manner. But that's gonna be after Alicization ends, of course, because there are divine objects we have seen but not yet seen the full abilities of, so I don't want to spoil people. There are divine objects that we're gonna learn about in the future, etc. So yeah, it's all about balancing those spoilers, so I'm gonna hold off on that for now. But that brings us to our spoiler segment, so this is your spoiler warning. If you don't want to be spoiled, please leave the video now, but before you leave, please hit that like button and subscribe. But yeah, hope you enjoy the questions. But with that, we are moving on to our first and only spoiler question. I hope you have left so far, as I am speaking, trying to extend my sentence. I don't know how long I can do it, but I'm gonna assume you have already left, so let's go! Near the end of Volume 18, when Alice was publicly introduced to the public in the real world for the first time, didn't she indirectly express her love to Kirito? Here's the part of what she said in Nulls from one of the fan translations. And that is not all. I go as far as to express my love for a real person when I think of them, the one whom I cannot meet at this moment. Even this steel chest of mine feels fit to split open. Are we misunderstanding something again? Please clear our confusion. You have the right to be confused, because Alice herself is confused. That's the key point. You see, everyone loves to, especially when you ask the Kirito and Alice shippers, they really like to cherry pick these kinds of sentences and provide them as arguments. But that is not really something you can do. You cannot cherry pick a complete sentence without any context behind it or considering what the character has gone through in the first place. So, in order to interpret that sentence, you need to keep in mind the entire 4 volumes, from Volume 15, Alicization Exploding, all the way to Volume 18, Alicization Lasting. And if you look at it that way, first we see in Volume 15 that Alice is completely shattered, she is lost, she has no idea why she exists in the first place. She thinks Kirito is the solution, but Kirito is gone, so her solution is gone, trying to reach her solution, etc. And then Volume 16 is the first step, kinda, that she starts taking by herself. But Volume 16 is also the place where you get to meet the actual behavioral patterns of Alice. We have already seen this in the anime, not even the spoiler section. If you go back to episode 4, when Alice does see Fanatio being actually caring about her appearance again and being feminine, Alice is more beautiful than Fanatio, but even in that instant, Alice is so jealous of Fanatio that she goes full proud knight and into a pissing contest entirely with Fanatio. And then, now we're heading into the spoiler territory, Volume 16 again, when Asuna arrives, Asuna is the first person that Alice deems to be incredibly beautiful, maybe even more beautiful than she is. So again, that's the mentality. I'm a knight, I need to be the best. She has this urge to be the alpha female and be the lead, so that's her entire push. Later on, when, again, we're in the spoiler section, so I don't need to keep warning you every single time. When Shinon comes in, again, Alice states to Shinon that she is her rival in love for Kirito. But again, Shinon doesn't love Kirito, neither does Alice. But again, she is a proud knight, so she needs to go into a pissing contest where no problem exists, so she can assert her dominance. That's pretty much the entire point. And when you keep that mentality for a while, you see something very similar in the SAO Gameverse with Premiere. Alice doesn't know what love is, and then keeping this act, she internalizes that meaning to something that isn't. You get what I mean? Especially if you look at Volume 15 and 16. Alice's inner monologues are there. Look at what she is telling to herself, not what she is telling to other people as an act. That's the key thing that you should do when you're trying to interpret a character's things, sentences, statements. And if you look at that, it's very clear that Alice does not love Kirito. She admits she does not love Kirito to herself. She's just in it for the pissing contest, and she explicitly states she's in it for the pissing contest in volume 16 when Asuna arrives. In her inner monologues to herself, not as an act to the outside. She admits to herself that she's in it for the pissing contest and that she needs to be the best. So I hope that clears your confusion. When someone brings you a single sentence or like 3 sentences, don't take it as a surface level statement. Look at what's behind, look at the entire process of how this character has developed, how she acts, how she lies, how she tries to justify things to herself, etc. Keep all of these things in your mind when trying to interpret something like this, especially the feelings. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's our only spoiler question, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe for more. We're gonna have more videos tomorrow. My Rising Steel playthrough is continuing, so I hope you enjoy that as well. With all that out of the way, thank you very much for watching. Huge thanks to my patrons and YouTube channel members as always, and I'll see you tomorrow. And until then, stay cool.